What if the most famous book about death was never about death at all? What if the text we call the Book of the Dead, a title synonymous with mummies, curses, and the dark magic of Hollywood, is actually the world's first ever guide to psychological awakening? For centuries, we have been told this is a morbid collection of spells, a supernatural roadmap to help a decaying corpse navigate a terrifying underworld. We imagine tombs, secret passages, and monstrous gods demanding appeasement. But this entire perception is based on a profound misunderstanding, a mistranslation of not just words, but of an entire philosophy. The ancient Egyptians never called it the Book of the Dead. That name was a 19th century invention by explorers who found these scrolls buried with the mummified elite and made a simple, fatal assumption. The true title, translated from the hieroglyphs themselves, is the Book of Coming Forth by Day. This is not a journey into the darkness. It is the story of an emergence from it. It is not a map for the deceased, but a complex, sophisticated, and breathtakingly profound guide for the living. It is a technology of consciousness, a blueprint left behind by the mystics of the Nile, detailing the soul's journey not through a hypothetical afterlife, but through the challenging, often terrifying landscapes of our own mind. The underworld it describes is the one within you. The spells are not incantations to ward off demons, but powerful psychological affirmations to master your own inner shadows. The gods are not external judges, but archetypal forces of your own psyche. And the final judgment is not a trial that happens after you die, but a process of self-realization you are meant to conduct every day of your life. What they hid from us, or what we simply forgot how to read, is that the Egyptian Book of the Dead is the ultimate manual on how to die while you are still alive, to die to your old self, your ego, your fears and your limitations, so you can be reborn, so you can come forth by day as an awakened, illuminated, and fully realized divine being. This isn't history. This is a direct message for you, right now. Forget the mummies, forget the curses. Tonight, we decode the greatest self-help book ever written. To understand the book, we must first understand its mythical author. This knowledge was not considered the work of mortals. It was a gift from the gods, specifically a gift from Thoth. You may remember Thoth from other traditions, the one the Greeks called Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great. He is the scribe of the universe, the divine architect of language, wisdom, and Heka, the Egyptian word for magic. But Heka did not mean pulling rabbits from a hat. Heka was the fundamental creative force of the universe. It was the power to use words, sounds, and symbols to alter reality, specifically to alter consciousness. The Book of the Dead is therefore not a book of magic. It is magic. It is a piece of divine technology designed for one purpose: to engineer the human soul. The Egyptians believed that when you died, your soul, or Ba, had to make a perilous journey through the Duat. The Duat is typically translated as the underworld or land of the dead, and this is where our first mistake begins. The Duat is not a physical place. It is a state of consciousness. think of it as the collective unconscious, the deep, dark, unlit ocean of your own mind. It is the place of your fears, your repressed memories, your unresolved traumas, and your deepest shadow self. It is the psychological landscape you navigate every night in your dreams. It is the place of chaos, the dark night of the soul, the primordial waters before creation. The journey through the Duat was not a journey for the dead. It was the ultimate initiation for the living. The pharaohs and high priests would perform these rituals in the darkness of the pyramids, symbolically dying and traveling through the Duat to be reborn as living gods aligned with the cosmic order. Over time, this knowledge was democratized. What was once a secret ritual for a king became a guide for any who could afford it. This is why we find these scrolls in the coffins of scribes, artisans, and nobles. The most famous of these is the Papyrus of Ani. Ani was a royal scribe, a middle manager from Thebes. He wasn't a pharaoh. He was an ordinary man, and his papyrus is one of the most complete and beautiful examples we have. It was a personalized guide. Ani would have studied this scroll his entire life, meditating on its images, memorizing its affirmations, and integrating its lessons. This was not last-minute cramming for a final exam. This was his life's work. He understood that the Duat wasn't just something he would face after death. He faced it every time he felt fear, every time he struggled with greed, every time his ego clashed with his higher self. The monsters in the book, the serpents, the crocodiles, the demons with knives, were not external threats. They were symbols for his own addictions, his destructive patterns, his anxieties, and his inner rage. The book of coming forth by day was his weapon. It was his map and his strategy guide for winning the war within his own consciousness. The secret was that this book would not save him after he died. The secret was that mastering it would save him while he was alive. The book is divided into roughly 192 chapters, or spells. The word spell is another disastrous mistranslation. The Egyptian word was ru, and ru is not an incantation. It is a chapter, a saying, or a manifesto. It is a declaration of power. These were not pleas for help. They were statements of truth. The soul was not begging. It was commanding. The ru were psychological passkeys designed to unlock specific doors of perception and overcome specific inner obstacles. Let's look at one of the most famous, Spell 30b, the chapter for not letting one's heart create opposition. In this spell, the soul addresses its own heart, which is being weighed on the scales of judgment. The soul says, "O my heart of my mother, O my heart of my mother, O my heart of my different forms, do not stand up as a witness against me. Do not be opposed to me in the presence of the keeper of the balance." Why would your own heart betray you? Because the Egyptians understood something we have spent a century rediscovering with psychology. The heart, or ib, was not the seat of emotion. It was the seat of consciousness, intellect, and memory. It was the complete record of every action, every thought, every secret you ever had. This spell is not about a physical organ. It is a profound psychological confrontation with your own conscience. It is the voice of your higher self telling your ego, "Do not stand up and condemn me now. Do not, in this crucial moment of transformation, drag me back down with the memory of my past failures." It's an affirmation of release. It's a declaration that you are more than the sum of your mistakes. You are not your past. You are not your guilt. This is not magic. This is high-level cognitive therapy. Now let's look at an even more powerful example, Spell 17. This is one of the oldest and most profound chapters. It begins with the soul declaring, "I am a tomb at his rising. I am the great God who came into being of himself." This is not a prayer to a distant God. This is a radical statement of identification with God. The soul is not saying, "Please help me, a tomb." The soul is saying, "I am a tomb." It's a declaration of non-duality. It's the human consciousness remembering its own divine source. It's the drop of water remembering it is the ocean. Throughout the book, the soul systematically identifies with all the major gods. I am Ra. I am Osiris. I am Thoth. The initiate was being taught to shed their limited personal identity, I am Ani, the scribe, and claim their true universal identity. I am the universe. I am the divine. This is the entire purpose of the journey. The spells are a curriculum of I am affirmations. Each one is a step in dismantling the ego and realizing the divine self. The goal was to arrive at the final judgment so fully identified with the divine, so completely purified of the self, that you were no longer a subject of the gods, but a peer. The book was not teaching you how to survive judgment. It was teaching you how to transcend the need for it. This is the spiritual and psychological climax of the entire text. This is the moment that all the spells and affirmations have been preparing the soul for, the Hall of Two Truths. The soul, now purified and empowered, enters a vast hall where 42 divine beings, 42 assessors of truth, are seated. In the center stands the great scale, tended by the jackal-headed god Anubis, the guide of souls. And at the far end, seated on his throne, is Osiris, the god of resurrection, waiting to receive the initiate. Before the heart can be weighed, the soul must first make a declaration. This is the centerpiece of the entire book, the 42 negative confessions. The soul stands before these 42 aspects of divine law, and one by one it addresses them and states a truth about its life. I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men and women. This is where most people stop. It sounds like a simple list of commandments, but the confessions go much, much deeper. They are not just about actions. They are about thoughts, intentions, and the subtle fabric of social and spiritual reality. Listen to the breathtaking sophistication of these declarations. I have not been deaf to words of truth. I have not made anyone weep. I have not acted with deceit. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not been hot-tempered. I have not polluted the water. I have not polluted the water. Thousands of years before our modern ecological crisis, the Egyptian initiate understood that to harm the earth was to harm oneself, to create a stain on the heart. I have not been deaf to words of truth. This isn't about obedience. It's about being open to wisdom, refusing to live in willful ignorance. I have not made anyone weep. This is an astonishingly profound measure of a life. Not just, I have not killed, but I have not been the source of another's sorrow. Now, here is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight. This is not a checklist you read after you die. This is a guide for how to live. The 42 negative confessions were a moral and psychological compass for the living. The goal wasn't to memorize this list for a final test. The goal was to live this list every single day with such integrity that when the moment came, either in ritual initiation or at the moment of death, you could stand before the universe and state these confessions with a clear conscience. This is not a confession in the Christian sense of, forgive me for I have sinned. It is a confession in the sense of, I profess this to be true. It is a triumphant declaration of a life lived in accordance with Ma'at, the fundamental cosmic principle of truth, order, justice, and balance. The 42 assessors are not judging the soul. The soul is demonstrating that it has already judged itself, purified itself, and mastered itself. It is not asking for permission to enter paradise. It is stating that it is already worthy, that it has become paradise. This is an active daily psychological and moral purification. The goal was to make your heart light before you even got to the scale. And so we come to the central image of the entire Egyptian philosophy, the single most important metaphor for the human condition they ever created, the weighing of the heart. The Ib, the heart, containing the complete record of your life, every thought, every action, every secret, is placed on one side of the scale. On the other side is the feather of Mart. Mart is the goddess of truth, but she is more than that. She is truth. She is the fundamental order of the cosmos, the law of harmony, justice, and reality itself. This is the ultimate test. It is not a test of faith. It is not a test of what you believed. It is a test of what you became. Does your personal truth, the life you actually lived, align with universal truth? Is your heart as light, as pure, as true as the feather of Mut? If the heart was heavy, heavy with lies, with guilt, with anger, with regret, with fear, the scale would tip. And waiting at the foot of the scale was a creature that represented the Egyptians' deepest, most profound fear. Her name was Ammit, the devourer of the dead. Ammit was not a monster. She was not the ruler of hell. She was something far more terrifying. She was the personification of pure annihilation. If your heart was heavy, Ammit would devour it. And to have your heart, your consciousness devoured meant you faced the second death. This was not an eternity of torment in a lake of fire. This was to the Egyptian mind a far worse fate. It was to be unmade, to be erased from existence, to have your consciousness, your unique identity dissolved back into the chaotic void, your journey unfinished, your potential unrealized. Ammit is not a monster. Ammit is a metaphor. She is the ultimate fear of a life lived in vain. She is the existential dread that your life did not matter. She is the embodiment of meaninglessness. The souls she devoured were not evil. They were simply unrealized. They were souls that had failed to become. They were too heavy, too attached to the illusions of the world, too weighed down by their own ego to ascend. But if your heart was light, if it was as light as the feather, if your heart was light, you were declared Ma Keru, true of voice. This is a critical legal and spiritual term. It means your word is truth. It means your reality and the ultimate reality are in alignment. Your heart does not speak with the heavy, confused voice of the ego. It speaks with the clear, light, powerful voice of truth itself. At this moment, Thoth, the scribe of the gods, records the verdict. The soul has passed. It has not survived the judgment. It has been vindicated by it. It is then led by Horus, the sun, to the throne of Osiris, the Father, the symbol of resurrection. The soul is no longer a separate, frightened entity. It is now unified with the divine. It has become Osiris. It has become an Ak, an illuminated one, a being of pure light. And this is the meaning of the title, The Book of Coming Forth by Day. It is not a book about death. It is the story of resurrection. The duat was the night, the darkness of the tomb, the chaos of the unawakened mind. The day is the light of enlightenment, the emergence into divine consciousness, the realization of your true, immortal self. The entire book is an alchemical formula for turning the lead of the human ego into the gold of divine light. It is a map showing how to navigate the duat that exists within your own heart, how to face the 42 assessors of your own conscience, how to master your inner demons, and how to weigh your own heart against truth while you are still breathing. This ancient text is not a relic. It is a mirror. We are all, right now, in our own duat. We call it anxiety. We call it depression. We call it existential crisis, or the dark night of the soul. We feel lost in a world of chaos, hunted by our own inner devourers, our fears, our addictions, our regrets. We feel our hearts are heavy. The Book of the Dead was written for us. It teaches us that the way out of the darkness is not by fighting it, but by integrating it. It teaches us that the 42 negative confessions are not an impossible standard, but a daily practice of purifying the mind and intention. I have not been deaf to words of truth. I have not made anyone weep. I have not acted with impatience. It asks us to put our own heart on the scale right now, in this moment, to weigh our daily actions, our words, our thoughts against the feather of truth. It reminds us that Heka, divine magic, is real. It is the power of your I am affirmations. I am strong. I am true. I am peace. I am light. The final secret of the Book of the Dead is that you are not meant to read it. You are meant to live it. You are meant to become it. The journey does not begin when your body dies. The journey begins now. The purpose of your life is not to build a tomb, but to build a soul, to live with such profound integrity, such deep self-awareness, and such courageous self-mastery that your heart becomes as light and as pure as a feather. The question the Egyptians asked was not, what happens after you die? It was a far more urgent and far more important question. Have you truly begun to live?